Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Babyface P, and today I have something really cool to show off. I did some horse trading over the weekend and picked up a rare-ish 1911. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, what's rare about 1911? Everybody and their grandfather's got one. This one has a weird looking chamber there that moves back and forth and is in 22. So this is not your standard Colt 22. Let me bring you in and show you what we're talking about. Let's do it. All right, so yeah, this is a Colt Ace. This is a Colt Ace service model conversion. Let me bring this magazine in so you guys can see. Bring the focus in. So there you go. Colt 22 Ace service model conversion. This is not an entire gun. They did make them as entire 22 1911s that you could buy. This one is a conversion on some sort of lower. I have no idea whose lower this is. There are zero markings on it other than a serial number. So quickly I will show you. There is the serial. If anybody recognizes that font on the serial number, let me know. Because I have no idea who made this lower. But it pretty much is a 1911 A1 designed lower. It is standard from here down is standard 1911 A1. Everything in it is standard. I can grab a 1911 A1 upper, throw it on here, and it will fire 45 just fine. Everything from here up is 22 conversion. And I'll take it apart quickly and show you guys. It does come with its own 22 magazine. Cool little magazine here that is the same size as 1911. It's got a little bit more heft to it because there's a lot more steel here, but it fits the 22 like that. But yeah, let's take it apart. I'm sure you guys want to see the internals a little bit. It takes apart just like any other 1911. Twist your spring like that. Cock the hammer, bring it back. If you've never taken apart a 1911, here's a quick crash course. Make the safety push out. It'll come off the top. And again, this, let me move this to the side, is straight 1911. Nothing fancy here. Just total regular 1911 A1. I put some Magpul grips on it. It came with some Delta Elite grips, which I thought were funny. That's like, to me, like putting a GT on a 4-cylinder Mustang. But I changed those out. They didn't feel very good, so I changed them out to some Magpul grips I had sitting around. I do have some wood grips coming in, and I'm going to change those onto it. So those will be here soon. But the top, the difference is on the top. Spring is similar. It's a little bit lighter than a 1911, than a 45 auto. But here looks pretty similar. All this here looks, you know, if you're used to a 1911, that looks pretty similar. This is where it starts getting different. The bushing, pretty much the same as well, so bushing's not too much different. But when you start taking the slide out, start taking the barrel apart, internally, this floating ejector comes out, so we'll dump that out the side real quick. Boop, come on, there we go. So this floating ejector piece comes out. This sits down into the barrel assembly and moves a little bit back and forth and has the ejector notch on it. Set that aside. And then just like that, the barrel will come out right out the front, and the slide is marked conversion unit, and the back section here is a little bit different. This, let me bring it up to the camera so you can see. It's just a tiny bit different. Down in there you can see on this side the extractor is built into it. There's a little cutout where you can see the extractor, and obviously the extractor claw has to come way further into the middle to grab the smaller case rim of the 22 versus the 45. But not horribly different looking from the outside. Now here is the cool part. And I've already fired it, so it's going to be a little dirty. Here is the really cool part of this design. This has a free-floated chamber. So this chamber here, if you twist it, will actually come out of the gun. This is the chamber for the 22, so the 22 will fit right in. And you see just the nose, there, hold on. Just the nose of the bullet sticks out. It's just like that. But this is a free-floating chamber, and this was designed by, of all people, Carbine Williams. If you guys don't know that name, he is the inventor of the I guess you would call him the inventor of the short stroke gas piston, which is what this truly is. But more importantly, he's well known for inventing the M1 carbine, World War II M1 carbine. He designed and created it. But this basically is a short stroke gas piston, and all it moves is that little bit. So primer, or the hits the you hit the back of the case goes, the round goes off, and as it goes off, this pops outwards ever so fast, so quickly. Pops back like that and hits the slide, and basically acts as a recoil booster. And a lot of you might be going, well, why do you want a recoil booster on a 22? I thought the reason for shooting 22 is to, you know, be cheap and to not have as much recoil. That's why they're fun. Well, the Colt and some of the other units, military specifically, came to Carbine-Williams, who had the design, and said, hey, we want a more realistic 45. We want a more realistic trainer 45 for the military to try, because shooting 45 gets expensive. Well, especially when you're training up a lot of guys to do it. 22, on the other hand, is really cheap. Pennies compared to lots of pennies for 45. And remember, this was well before hand loading was even a thing. Well before hand loading was a common thing, let's say that. So the military was interested in it. So what it does basically is, this is a full weighted steel slide. And if anybody has shot one of the modern Colt 22s that is out there, those are made by Walther primarily. The slides are aluminum. They're lightweight aluminum with a very lightweight spring and a pinned-in barrel. Nothing like a real 1911. They function just fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're fun to shoot. It's just not... You can't take one of those uppers and throw it on your A1 lower and, you know, go practice. This was designed to fit onto an A1 lower. Originally, it was a whole gun. These conversion units were designed to fit onto an A1 lower, government lower, I guess you would call it, sliding on, and it similar, they claimed it gave you felt recoil like a 45. That's some BS, that's some high caliber BS and marketing right there. To me, it feels, I'd say it feels about equivalent to shooting a 380, maybe a 32 auto. Actually, it's probably more equivalent to shooting a 32 auto. Less than a 9mm, depending on how hot your ammo is. But it does give you more felt recoil than a 22, so it makes it a little more realistic. You kind of get the feeling of pulling the trigger on a 1911 without having to fire full-powered 45 ammo. That was the whole idea here, was to make it a cool trainer that you could get your hands on and plink with and have fun with and not shoot your more expensive 45. This one happens to be a conversion unit. I don't know when it was made. The markings on the side seem to make me think it was probably from the 50s or 60s. They made the original Aces from, goodness, I think the early 30s to the early 40s. And then there were some overlap years where they made the service Ace, which is what this would be based on, which had the floating chamber. Those went from the 40s up until, I believe, 1947 is when they stopped making the service Ace. They made a reproduction run in the 1980s as well, but that was a whole pistol. You got the whole thing as one. And then Colt also put out these 22 to 45 conversions, and they ended up being super popular because, you know, the 45 being the prolific gun that it was, the 1911 being the prolific gun that it was back in those days, not everybody wanted to just blast away 45 all the time. They, you know, you want to shoot some 22 instead. Huge prolific, major popularity with sportsmen and people that enjoyed shooting. So this was very popular. Unfortunately, today, they stopped making these, I believe, in the early 60s, and today they are fairly hard to come by. The parts are pretty expensive if something breaks, and magazines, very expensive. I'm lucky this one is just about pristine. I mean, this one's almost in perfect condition. Magazines are routinely $100 to $150 for an original Colt mag. There is a Triple K that you can get. I don't know if they work or not. But all in all, if you ever are able to get your hands on one of these, do it. Really cool. So let me go ahead and put it back together. We're going to throw some ammo in it. One thing is it doesn't like standard velocity. It wants high velocity ammo. So typically what you would shoot out of this is your regular old target ammo that we have today. This is high velocity. What we call high velocity is kind of our normal ammo today. or if you are able to get your hands on, I have some of this stuff. This is the M22 from Winchester, is made for semi-autos. Specifically, I think they designed it for the M&P 22, which was a little finicky on ammo at first. So this is really good for semi-autos. I have heard really good things about hypervelocity ammo, stingers and the like. I've heard that the hypervelocity ammo gives you a little bit of added recoil, makes it closer to a 9mm, and it makes it ultra reliable, I would say. Less fouling, less leading, less things like that. Because the problem here is this chamber, you can see there's already lead buildup on there. This floating chamber tends to lead up really quickly, and once that gets leaded and fouled, doesn't work anymore. So, kind of a gimmick today. We have so many other 22s that work better than this that it's more of a collector's piece, but it's still a really cool thing. So anyways, I've talked enough. Let's put it together and shoot. So because this thing is basically a 1911 on the bottom, it functions just like a 1911. Magazine goes in like that, and all your controls are exactly the same. Slide release, it goes home, and you're ready to shoot. I've already put a couple rounds through it, so I'm hoping this thing doesn't get too fouled too quickly. We will find out. Let's see what we got here. Just like that. You got lockback. And again, let me show you guys this side. Bring this down. Because it's a 1911 on the bottom, everything's the same. Safety works. Hammer's the same. Slide release is all the same. So, really cool piece. Let's put some more ammo in it. We need to do some more shooting. All right, let's do a little bit more. Mag goes in. Slide goes home. And find our focus, and we're ready to shoot. Haha, just like that. This thing shoots great. I hear the accuracy is lackluster because it's a kind of a loose design, but that's not really, it wasn't really designed to be a target gun. This is designed as a training implement, so let's do some more. All right, same angle, let's do one more. This thing is just way too much fun because it feels like a full-size 1911. This thing is just so freaking awesome. With some wood grips, oh, this thing is gonna look so beautiful. Oh man, such a cool collector's piece. Going in the safe, this is never leaving my safe again. This one's gonna stay with me for a long time. All right. So there you go. There's the really cool Colt 22. They call it a 45-22, I believe. A 45 to 22, or is it a 22 to 45? I don't know, because they had both. This is the Colt Ace, Service Ace conversion unit for the 1911 Commander model. And man, it is such a cool, fun thing to shoot. Weight-wise, it's got the same weight as a 1911. Recoil, I'd say it's probably close to like a 32 ACP, maybe a soft 9mm. Probably close to 32. Really cool though. As a training aid, if you're a 1911 guy, man, I could just sit out here and shoot this all day long and just have fun with it. Eventually, you are going to have to take this down, and you'll probably have to do... I've done a video before on the dip, which is a suppressor thing for removing lead. You can dip these two parts. It's not going to hurt the bluing at all. I tried it already, so don't worry. As long as you don't leave it for hours, just leave it in there for a couple minutes. Take a scrub brush and get the lead out of that chamber. Made it really easy to clean the leading off. So yeah, I think this one's going to be a mainstay in the 22 collection for me. Anytime somebody wants to try a full-size 22, now I can bring them to the Ace conversion. So there you go. I hope you guys like it. If you like, I'm bringing some old school to the table lately, and I love it. It's really exciting. So if you guys like this sort of crazy stuff, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. If you got a Colt Facebook group that you're friends with, share it out with them. If you got any information on this gun in particular, you know anything about the serial number or the markings, what year these markings may have come from, let me know in the comments. I'm always willing to hear somebody that has a lot more knowledge than me tell me about my firearms because, you know, adds a little bit of history to them, which is cool to me. So there you go. I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.